Hey, welcome back. I am here with my 1959 Allis Chalmers D17 that I just picked up, and in this video we're going to dive a little deeper into what this machine is and what it needs. So when I bought this thing, main thing that caught my eye was kind of the originality of the tractor. You know, it seems like mostly original paint on it. It's lower hours, it's not really beat up and wore out. So that caught my eye, and I drove it around a little bit, checked some of the major things. These are known to sometimes jump out of gear, so I drove it around and it didn't jump out of gear, but it needs some love. There's like no brakes to it, but I don't know if the brakes are worn out or if they just need adjusted. I know this front pivot under here is going to need some work. Seems to be some oil seeps on it, and I just really don't know anything about it. And as you guys know, I kind of like to go through this stuff when I get it. So kind of the goal of this video here is going to be cleaning it up and diving into it, checking fluids, seeing what it needs. Does the hydraulics work correctly? All that kind of stuff. So let's get started and get some degreaser on this thing. I'm mixing up some Zepp purple here, 1/4 strength. Used it full strength on that WD-45, and yeah, it's a little too strong. 1/4 strength should be good. Well, it's cleaner now. I don't know if it looks any better per se, but you know, kind of got that chalky look to it now, which I expected. That degreaser that I use kind of takes, I mean, it works pretty good. If there's some moisture, some petroleum moisture in that old paint, it's gonna take it right out. But it cleaned up pretty nice. Going to take the hoods off. We're going to start by doing a compression test on this thing, just get a good idea of what the engine is. I got a little bored the other night and made a little test spot with some rubbing compound, just lightly rubbed it by hand, and this thing's going to clean up pretty good. Sorry about that. The engine oil in this looks pretty good. Don't believe we're going to have to change that. It says it was changed 5/3 of 2022, so I'm guessing it only got a few hours since then. They said they did a little bit of plowing with it. I don't remember if I made mention the fellow's father passed away, and he had just been collecting these tractors for kind of a retirement hobby. He liked them in their original work clothes, kind of like I do, so he liked machines like this, had a couple of them. but he bought it from a fella who bought it from the original owner, and the guy in between him only had it for a few years, I guess. So, not that this was a one-owner machine, but it was for the majority of its life a one-owner machine. Something I noticed here, there must have been a leak at this seam. Somebody's come in here and put solder in that joint. They did just put a new battery in it for us, so 6 of 25, so that's probably 120 bucks at least. That's cool. Going to start this up and get it up to operating temperature before we do a compression check. Burns pretty clean. There might be just a whiff of some kind of smoke there. But it runs nice. Obviously that carburetor was flooding when we brought it home, so we'll want to go through that. Man, you can't complain. Looks like this exhaust manifold gasket's gonna blow out on this number 1, so we might change these while we're at it. I know I've got some laying around, so put a little bit of wax on those. It's showing good oil pressure at idle. It is charging correctly. We're up to operating temperature now, so that's good. Our lights all work. Let's watch our amp gauge kick in when we throttle it up. Yep, that's working correctly. All of the lights are working on it, which is pretty neat. Still a little iffy about the wiring harness. I'm thinking just replace it, and no, we're not going to burn a barn down with this thing. Check the PTO. So on these, you push your clutch in, and then this lever right here, you kick forward. Anyway, kick that forward. Then your power takeoff's working. As far as your lift arms, the lower one here is your control, and your upper one is how you set where you want your draft control at. So you just leave that down, and then as you raise this up, raises your arms up, and there's kind of a float in the middle where it opens and closes the valve to let it down or stop it. That seems to be working okay. It might need a little bit of adjustment. If the power director feels good, we definitely need at least some adjustment on the brakes. I can't even set the parking brake right now. The Paul just flips all the way around past them. I don't know if I showed you the belt pulley working. Disengage the PTO, just push the clutch in, pull that lever back, engage the belt pulley, push the clutch in, pull this knob out. Might have to slip the clutch. And belt drive works. Push that in to shut that off. But yeah, we're up temperature. Let's do a compression check on this thing. A little carboned up, like it's been running rich, but number 4 looks pretty good. Kind of the same deal on number 3, running a little rich, but looks good. Number 2, same deal, not quite as rich, but very similar looking. Number 1, same deal as the rest. I'm gonna pull this intake hose off so we're not drawing through the air filter. Give us a little more accurate reading. And we'll give it full throttle. Make sure that butterfly is all the way open. And it is. Start with number 1 here. This engine seems to run pretty good. I don't expect any issues, but it's good to have a baseline to know how healthy your engine is. Compression's a pretty decent way to check that. Stop those plugs from shorting out. Looks like we've got 100 and just over 130 on number 1. Looks like pretty well the exact same compression on number 2, about 130. We are exactly the same compression on number 3. Let's see if we can get all 4 online. It's on the dot, all 4 of them, right at 130 psi. You cannot complain about that at all. 130 psi on this engine is not terrible. It should be at like 145 if it was a brand new, fresh rebuild. So, not terrible. But it does lead me to believe that that sticker that was on the hood that said M&W pistons is a lie. I don't think that is what it's got in it. But I got a borescope here, so we're going to take a look in here and see what we find. Oop. Those appear to be, that is a regular dished piston. The cylinder walls, there's no cross hatching left in them. Lots of like little pits, it looks like. Hopefully you're able to see this a little bit. But I don't see anything scary there, just a fairly used engine. There we go. Yep, that is just a standard Allis Chalmers power crater piston. So I'll be peeling that M&W sticker off that hood, even though it's cool. It's kind of a lie. Yeah, a little bit of rust pitting there. Not bad. Nothing crazy in here. Same with this guy. I doubt this is an original engine, but I'm sure it's been apart at some point. Nothing real scary. Definitely got some wear on it, but looks healthy. So I'll pop this valve cover off here and just see what it looks like underneath. Don't look too bad in there. Somebody's been in there not too long ago. Whoa. That's how that's got dents in it. Got a little bit of moisture in it. Not bad. Honestly, could be from pressure washing the other day, but gasket's still good. They got it glued on there nice, so this is looks pretty good. I'll while we're here, might as well run over the valves real quick and check the lash. One kind of telltale sign that somebody has been in this engine is this bolt right here has orange paint on it, and that one right there does not. So when they put these back together, you can see orange paint, bare steel. So this was originally outside the head and not under the valve cover, and when they put it back together, they switched an internal and an external bolt. So Not that that really matters, but it's just kind of a telltale on it has been worked on before. Because at a glance, you know, this is something that somebody might claim, oh, well, we've never been in that engine before. It's original. So it's not. It's had the head worked on at least. Gap on these should be 14 thousandths hot. Engine's up to operating temperature, so that's an accurate reading. And number one's pretty well right where it should be. So I'll run through here and check them all and let you know what I find. A little tip when running these to make your life a little easier. Got a little piece of aluminum wire here. You just bend down and that allows you to find top dead center, or what that wire is on, bottom dead center, to check your valves. But another thing that it's kind of a design flaw, I would say, on these engines, but if you look here, see how that valve stem is offset from the rocker arm? Problem is, let me see if I can look at it from the other side. Yeah, you can kind of see it there, the offset in them. The problem that will happen is that rocker arm's gonna wear, and you'll be able to get your feeler gauge in this side, but when you get over here, it's gonna stop and it won't go all the way through, because that'll be worn less or not at all where it's hanging off that valve stem. That one's not too bad. This one right here is actually offset quite a bit. Same with this one and this one. All of these Allis 226 engines that I've had the valve covers off of are like this. So sometimes you got to be careful, and you can only really stick your feeler gauge in half that, just where the valve stem is hitting, because if you stick it all the way across like this, you're going to make the gap sometimes twice as wide as it should be. Kind of I would say a design flaw, but you know, just something to watch out for. Well, everything looked pretty good in here. I pretty much messed with every valve just a little bit. I don't know, if I don't touch them, it don't feel like I did anything. So whether I loosen them and put them right back to the same setting or not, they were checked. Okay, so heading to the opposite end of this tractor, I need to pull these brake covers off here and check to see what our brake bands look like, because this thing is way out of adjustment and I'm not sure if it's got no linings left or not. So if it doesn't, we need to get some parts ordered. Woohoo, nice. So I think we should be good. So right here, what you see, this big gap, that's all adjustment that we have that we should be able to tighten up. But right now, we're not getting much. To get us a little bit more room over here, we're gonna remove this home-built toolbox. Luckily, it doesn't appear that they drilled any new holes in the fenders to get this mounted and use some existing ones. There is some corrosion down in here where the dirt has settled over the years, so make sure we take that fender off, and we'll probably pull these off like the other one to polish them. So this isn't too far gone yet, you know, it's still pretty solid. Yeah, we got a fair bit of adjustment left on this side as well, so that's good to see. Looks like the has had new linings put in it at some point. Somebody's spray painted the shoes gray, so that's good that we're just picking up where somebody else already did the hard work. Unfortunately, it looks like they put new springs in here and they're broken already, so that's not great, but now the first go around, it looks like somebody wore these things way thin, because this drum in here on the left side, it's that dark color, it's wore right off. So not unexpected, but You don't want to see that. Looking through my stash, I've got 3 good springs to replace these, so let's replace those springs real quick and adjust the brakes. Come on, get out of there. Kind of verify that they look the same. Yep, looks like the exact same spring. Get our new one in, our new old one in here. Get some wire looped through there. Make sure we're in the center. Pull that through and set it. That spring is going to become important in the adjustment. We need to center, after we tighten the shoe up, we need to center it with this bolt down here, and without those springs in place, the shoes won't sit where they belong. So before you get started on the rest of this, you generally want to make sure that this little toggle that sits down in the bottom, this piece right here, your brake rods, this piece here, is going to go back there and it's going to connect to that toggle. From the front of that toggle to the center of the hole of the, I mean, you can go with the rod or the pedal, but the center of the pedal should be 21 inches both sides. If those aren't right, then your geometry will be off and you won't be able to set your parking brake. So generally you want to do that first. This one, I checked it, it's good. So the next on these, you break this loose, loosen that lock nut, and then you want to tighten the bolt all the way until the shoe is tight against the drum. Then from there you're going to tighten this top nut until you get less than 2 inches of travel before you hit before the band starts hitting the drum. So these are like, you know, in the 4 to 5 inches of travel range. So from this face down, so you just take something and measure from here and depress the pedal. And you never know, this might have not actually wore this bad. It might have just been set this way for the fella. He might not have had the best leg movement. All you gotta do is kind of pick a reference point. So I'm gonna pick this top edge here and depress, hold that tape measure still and depress the pedal. And as long as you're under 2 inches of total travel there, you're good to go. The main concern is you want to make sure that this brake pawl back here, down here, will engage with your pedals. You just got to make sure that that's not either too far up, because if you're contacting your brake shoes too quickly, you won't have enough room to slide that pawl down in there. That amount of travel, just under 2 inches, is ideal for me. Seems like so far we only have leaks from the front and the rear of the oil pan. And looking at it, it looks like probably it's the rear main seal in the back and the front pan gasket in the front. So that's not enough to concern me. We're not gonna touch that right now. You know, I paid up for this tractor. I actually paid probably top value, at least in my opinion, for the current condition, you know. So I'm glad to see that the brakes are, you know, able to be adjusted and everything under the valve cover looks good, and the compression is decent for its age. So haven't seen anything real concerning yet. It's a good deal. So once you get that top adjustment done and you get those pedals where you want it, you back off this lower screw again and basically just kind of center those shoes up. You'll kind of see that they can move back and forth with this. So nothing crazy. There's a solid pin in the bottom, so the centering that you're looking at is actually at the top here. So basically back it off and make sure everything's sitting okay, and you can put it back together. During this part of the process, I like to take a jack and put up each side up in the air, and you can turn the wheel and both ways. If it's off-centered, they'll kind of lock up on you. So when you get them where you want them, the wheel will turn freely both directions. And about right there is where we want it. So just set these lock nuts, and your adjustment is complete. While jacking up on this rear drawbar cradle, I noticed these bolts were loose, so let's get those tightened up. Because that's not going to do anything but break out the rear casting on this thing. That one was tight. 3 of the 4 were loose though, so get these tightened up. Oh, that one was loose too. Hey, that was a good catch. Well, while we're over in this area, let me show you something I have that I would like to install on this tractor. It would go right here. This is a 2-way hydraulic valve. So the factory valve back here, it works with the lift arms, and it's only a 1-way valve. So if you've got any modern equipment, it's gonna, that has a 2-way cylinder, like a power up, power down, this won't work with it. This is, you're gonna have to put a vent in the cylinder or something. This is a factory available valve that turns 1-way into 2-way. So all it is, it's got this hose that will also connect into the factory port, and what you have to do is you run your 3-point arms all the way to the top, and you leave the pump running, and then you can operate it from this valve right here. Pulled this off another tractor that I had, and thought, well, someday I'd get another D17 and I'd have one to put it on, and I think this is the tractor I'm going to stick it on. But pretty easy to set up. You just bolt it in here, bolt it in there. There's an extra long bolt for that brake pin and a spacer. It sits up a little higher. And then there's a hard line that goes over to the return. This is what they call a transport valve. It was used with semi-mounted plows and semi-mounted discs. What it would do is you could adjust it, and it would give you a delay between the lift arms lifting and the tail wheel or transport wheels of your disc. So when you would hit the lever up top and you would raise the arms, they would raise first, and once they like deadheaded, I think it's essentially like a relief in here, it would bypass this port until it hit a certain pressure, and then it would kick in, send fluid to this line, and then that would pick up your tail wheel or your disc wheels. Not all of them have this. It's more common on a D17 than like a WD-45 or something, but because of that setup, they already have a pressure and a return line, so it just tees into the return that goes up here on the left, and the return goes into the bell housing here, and that's the reservoir for the hydraulic fluid. So now that the brakes are set, I'm just going to work my way from the rear to the front of the tractor, checking fluids and giving it a good once over. Something I did notice here is that somebody has been in and definitely worked on that main bushing. They've welded that pin in there, but the seat otherwise is pretty good shape. Looking at this left lift latch, it's been cracked off and brazed back on, but looks to be in good condition otherwise, and they did a nice job on that repair. The right one here also looks to be in good condition. The springs, this spring's a little weak, but the rest of them are good, and that'll be all right. This PTO shaft looks good, and this one actually has the factory shield on there, which is cool. Gonna check the oil in these final drives, make sure they're up and at least clean. We got some oil there. Let's see what color it actually is. It's a little brown, could probably use changing, but for right now, I think it's all right. Still feels pretty good. I imagine it's been a while since that's been done, but I think that looks all right for now. As long as it's not milky or completely like opaque, you can't see through it, I'm not too worried about it. And we'll check the right side here. None running out of that one. How far down it is. And it's a little low. Okay, no, it's not really low. It's pretty close to the top, and it's similar to the other one. Kind of brown, but not bad looking. Still feels good, so we'll call that good. I'm actually going to add just a little bit into this one here. Whoa! Doggone it! That's full now. As I go along, I'm trying to assess this wiring harness. You can see there's a splice in it right there. Trying to decide if it's worth putting a new harness on this thing or not. Because it doesn't look too bad for the most part. You can definitely do a lot of patching for how much a new one costs. I think Burlman gets $230 for one of these harnesses. So there is a dipstick right here. This unthreads. And this would be your power director oil. And it is just a touch over full, a little dirty, but not bad. I don't think it warrants being changed yet. Then this guy over on the right, this should be your transmission rear end oil, and it's right up top, and it's clean looking too. Smells like they've got hydraulic, like trans hydraulic in the rear end of this thing, which is just fine. The breather on the other end here, it could probably use cleaned out, so let me do that real quick. I've just got a jar with some solvent in it, and I'm gonna soak this in here for a little bit and flush it out. Now this one up here should be your hydraulics, and see how it says full with rams extended. So that's actually at the full line with the rams retracted. So that's just a touch low, but once we get it going, we'll level that out. And the breather on this one, kind of the same way. So I'm gonna degrease this one and clean it out as well. I'm gonna pull these side shields off to get an idea of what the wiring and stuff looks like behind them. Unthread our choke knob. There we go. Okay, well, looking in here, it don't look too bad. It does look like that's a replacement tachometer though. Definitely got some different paint on it. And the cable was obviously new at some point in time. I'm not sure what all of this like mildew looking stuff is. If that's old lithium grease someone sprayed on there, not sure. Here's another point that the tape is just wore out, so we're gonna have to fix that up. But the rest of the harness up in there doesn't look too bad. This obviously needs degreased and cleaned out a bit, but it's not too bad looking. I do want to change this back out to a sediment bowl, so I've got that on the list of parts. This side here doesn't look much different. Looks like where he spliced in this auxiliary 12-volt plug in the toolbox is just hooked onto the amp meter, so I'll remove that. I'm not a fan of that. That should have a fuse in the line. Everything else looks pretty good. We've got the, here's the pressure line that goes to the traction booster, just tees in. Yeah, I don't see anything else that's real concerning in there. It's just kind of dirty. So I think this wiring harness is fine for now. We'll just clean it up in a few spots, and we'll clean and degrease this area, which is good because that's a couple $100 saved for now. Let's take a look at this air cleaner and see if it's how dirty it is, or if it's been serviced recently. I definitely do not prefer this style of like latch that they went to. The older ones just had that bail that hooked underneath. That was nicer. Oh, something just happened here. Kind of tugged on that line a little bit, and the fitting just cracked off the carburetor. So add that to the list of things we need. Just drop down and out of here. See what it looks like. Oil looks pretty clean, and there's like almost no dirt in the bottom, so I'm not changing that right now. That's going to be fine for a while. Yeah, this thing is like actually really clean. It's probably only got a couple hours of runtime on it. The fella that I purchased it from, he said his dad had kind of went through these and serviced them up, so hopefully for the most part everything is not too bad. Well, let's see how lucky we are today. I'll see if I can rattle loose these bolts that are on the manifold. So we got to change the gaskets anyways. I put some penetrating oil on them. Okay, these are the ones that are probably not going to want to come loose, but got that hood support bracket loose. Let's get this out of here. There we go. I'll give a little more torque to these, and yeah, they don't want to budge. Alright, that's going to require a little more heat. Alright, let's see if that'll crack loose. That's what we want. Man, and the threads are still good. Perfect. Alright, let's give this one a try. And it feels like it wants to. A little more heat in it that time. Pretty amazing how well that thread has held up. We've got plenty to put a replacement nut on these. And we'll pull this carburetor off here as well, since we want to go through it. None of them were quite blown out yet, but the ends were getting ready. So best bet is just to get this cleaned up and replaced before they do blow all the way out. So as I mentioned before, the front pivot on this thing is worn out. So we've got to pull the lower front bolster off of it and get that out to get machined and a bushing put in it. While we've got the front end up like this, you can kind of see what our spindles are, if they're worn out. They've got a little side-to-side play in them, not terrible. They could use some bushings and sleeves, but I'm not too worried about it right now. Front wheel bearings sound pretty good, but I'll pull those apart to get some fresh grease in there as well. This one's about the same way. They're not terrible, but they should be addressed at some point. I was curious to turn this with it up in the air because this thing steers hard. And I was curious if there was excessive drag with it up, but it doesn't seem like it. Just kind of hard steering. I'm going to support the bottom side of the torque tube with a jack stand on a couple blocks. There are, I believe, 4 bolts total that hold this front end on. 2 in the back and 2 up here through the front. Get those loose and we should be able to bring that bolster down to where we can get it out of there. Okay, I think if I let this down the rest of the way, that should give clearance. Pull that out of there. I don't know if this is as heavy as it looks or it's not too bad. Oh, it's hardly anything. Alright. Okay, so we've got that lower support, or upper, or whatever you want to call it, off of this front end. And that front pin definitely has some wear on it, so I'll weld this back up and kind of grind it around the way it's supposed to be. And this is the main issue. This front, I don't even think they ever put bushings in these, if I recall. I think they were just that pin and that casting, and eventually they wear through enough that they start wearing on this part. Should never touch right here. But what I'll do is I'll put this in a milling machine and I'll bore this out and make a bushing to go in there and take up the slop, and then I'll also drill and tap a grease zerk into the bottom here. The later machines had a grease zerk right here. So unfortunately I won't be able to show you that. Someday we'll have a milling machine in the shop here and be able to show that process, but for now you'll just have to take my word for it. All right, well, we're kind of getting to the point here that I'm running out of parts to put this thing back together. So let's readdress what we're doing here. So mechanically, yet we still need to go through the wiring harness, check everything. I need to clean out under the fuel tank here. Need to replace that valve they have with a proper sediment bowl, bend a new line. I need a gasket set. I think I've got one around here, but I need some new nuts and washers to go on these studs before I can put the manifold back together. Need some carburetor gaskets to go in carburetor. It's soaking, so we can clean that out. What else around here? Everything here seems pretty good. Like I said, just the wiring under there. Front end, I need to build up and grind down that pin. We need to, what else? Those spindles, I mean, they're kind of to the point where they could probably use some bushings, but that's not a right now job, and it's also not, yeah, it's not fun, so those are all right for now. Gonna put plugs, wires, cap, rotor, condenser points in this thing. That's for sure. I've got a new Nelson muffler actually already arrived. Gonna get rid of that Stanley. Need to either build or buy. There's a frame that goes around this battery and has some J bolts that go down to these holes. So probably gonna order one of those. They're not that expensive. Maybe top off the hydraulic fluid. It's really not, it's not too bad. It's a pretty short list as far as mechanicals go. Gonna take a while to get this thing cleaned up and buffed out, looking real nice, but we'll save that until after we know the mechanicals are good. So kind of at a standstill at this point. Gonna get a parts list together, and we'll get some stuff ordered. Gonna take that this week, and we'll get that machined, get a bushing made, so that'll be ready to go. That hydraulic valve I gotta mess with because it is seized up. It was seized up when the previous guy got it, and now it's seized up again, so I'm not sure why. But yeah, carburetor's soaking over there. We are, this tractor really is in pretty good shape. Most of these issues, especially that front pivot, which is a big issue, you know, if you don't have access to milling machine and a lathe and stuff, it's a bigger problem. But we can get that sorted out, and it's not really unexpected. So with all that being said, I'm going to end this video here. So let me know, do you think this is still a good project? Did you see anything on this machine that I missed that still needs taken care of, or would you do something differently? Do you think I'm cutting corners somewhere that maybe I shouldn't? But if you like this kind of stuff, appreciate it if you'd leave a like on the video. That really does help out. Leave a comment, like I said, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because we're always getting into this stuff. I know you see a lot of Allis Chalmers machines on my channel. If that's not your thing, I can understand that, but there is generally some mix of various other manufacturers in there as well. So appreciate y'all watching, and hope you'll stick around with this series on this old D17 and see it brought back to its former glory. So we'll see you on the next one.